Hey everyone, it's Chris here with Zone Zero California, and I want to remind you we are giving away a free pedestrian gate. It will be a color bond gate by Durabond. This is an Australian designed and made all steel gate, and it was created to withstand the intense heat of wildfires. And this will get you Zone Zero compliant. In order to win the gate, all you have to do is, number one, subscribe, and number two, go to zonezerocalifornia.com, zonezerocalifornia.com, fill out the form there and download our free Zone Zero PDF checklist. All right, so here we are continuing our series of videos, taking you, the viewer, on the ground into the very high fire hazard severity zones in and around Los Angeles and eventually around all of California, just to point out where exactly these locations are, because as you can see, I'm in the middle of Highland Park here, and I mean, this is a old, classic, historic neighborhood. We're not at the edge of civilization by any means, but it is smack dab in the middle of a very high fire hazard severity zone, as indicated by these maps by CAL FIRE. See where these two roads are intersecting right about here. Let's see, where am I? Oh, I lost it. Oh, here we go, here we go. York Boulevard and Figueroa Street. As you can see, as I zoom out, hopefully you can tell there's not too much glare. We are just west of the 110, it's about that way. We're west of South Pasadena here, but this entire area, as I zoom out here, it might take a minute to load, is all inside of this very high fire hazard severity zone. So it might take a minute to load here. I might have to edit it in late, but trust me, bro. Let me zoom in again. I'm right here at York and Figueroa Street, Highland Park neighborhood. As this is all, I mean, you have a little pocket right here, so there might be a few communities here. Now, if you want to make sure and check your address, go to the CAL FIRE maps. We've compiled a bunch of links and things like that for you in our school community. The link is in the description. But nevertheless, we are basically in the middle of a fire hazard severity zone here in Highland Park. If you live off York Boulevard, and we're going to take a drive around, right? If you live off Figueroa Street, you know, up to the north there is the 134 freeway. You are in the middle of it. You are in this red zone. And what does that mean? Well, that means these new Zone Zero regulations are going to affect you. How? You have 2 to 3 years to comply, and compliance looks like the 0 to 5 feet around your home or property must have Class A non-combustible building materials. It must be free and clear of any debris, and even your landscaping might need to be changed. So that's why we're giving away the gate. Now, let's just kind of go through some things. Of course, Zone Zero, as I mentioned, the 0 to 5 feet around your home, property, or structure must be free and clear of debris and have non-combustible building materials, Class A non-combustible building materials within that zone. So I mentioned landscaping, I mentioned gates, right? Maybe you have an old wood fence as well. Your landscaping must, you might be needing to switch from grass to gravel. We know some of the biggest complaints and pushback through this regulatory process so far has been those voicing their opinion about removing trees. Trees provide a natural source of shade, and that shade, in some studies I've seen, can be shown to reduce the effective temperature by 50 degrees. It will lower your costs to cool your home. But if we get rid of those trees, what's going to happen? Well, we're waiting to get the final rules and regulations from the state, and then we're also, I think, going to see counties and cities set more specific regulations for their areas as well. But nevertheless, it's also going to affect things like your deck or your patio. Again, if your deck is made of redwood or cedar, you might need to switch that out for a composite material like Trex or TimberTech, or with approved building materials such as Caillou Batu, which is a hardwood approved by CAL FIRE for building use inside of Zone Zero. What else is it going to affect? Well, next thing we'll take a look at is your railings. Again, if your railings are made of redwood, along with your deck, you might need to consider switching out your railings for a different type of material, either approved hardwoods or something like steel. And, you know, for example, we were also in Hollywood and saw apartment buildings that had their patios using redwood railings. So that's something to consider, that's something to think about, something to take a look at around your home. So next up is siding. Depending on the period your home was built in, you know, we've seen a lot of these older neighborhoods with craftsman style homes, those still use wood siding. Other mid-century homes seem to have a wood siding, a style that uses wood siding as well. And I have seen some cases where that wood siding is replaced with stucco, but of course that's going to change the entire historic look of your craftsman, for example. So something to consider. Again, that's why we're raising awareness. If you live inside one of these very high fire hazard severity zones, own a property or manage a property inside of these zones, these regulations are going to affect you. Now finally, of course, there's your roofing. Most roofing material is already flame retardant, non-combustible, fire resistant, but are you clearing all of that debris off of your roof before the next fire event? What happens if there's a fire event and the embers blow and land on your roof and you haven't cleared all the old leaves or pine needles that are falling onto it and accumulating from a nearby tree? Well, that can be a recipe for disaster. So, all right, enough yapping. Once again, we're giving away a gate. Subscribe to the channel, go to zonezerocalifornia.com, fill out the form and get your free PDF checklist. We're gonna be giving away a gate every 500 subscribers. So we're doing our first giveaway once we hit 500 subscribers here, and every 500 subscribers after that. And there's a link to our school community there in the description. I've got a bunch of resources and links compiled there as well. And of course, we also have a Reddit. So if you want to join the conversation, you want to come vent, get it off your chest, and complain about the experiences you've had dealing with insurance, dealing with regulatory issues around Zone Zero, others will be able to learn from your story. So enough talking. Let's get in the truck. Let's drive around Highland Park here and see if we can't find some areas of concern in any given neighborhood. This is always random with these Zone Zero policies. Excuse me. Let's see if we can find some areas of concern when it comes to these Zone Zero policies. Hey everyone, Chris here, back in the truck, and let's just take a look again at our map. All right, this is the area we're in currently, the intersection of York and Figueroa Street. And as you can see, as I zoom out here, these Zone Zero, these very high fire hazard severity zones, if you're in Highland Park, you can basically go all the, if you're in and around that 110, that Arroyo Seco Parkway, you go down Figueroa Street. I mean, of course, there's this small little patch of homes here. If you live within that small little patch of homes, you're not affected, but everyone else is. So we're gonna take a drive around the neighborhood. Let me start the car, put my seatbelt on. Safety first, take these off. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is just drive around and look for examples. I always freestyle this, it's completely random. But I do this to demonstrate just how many homes and people are going to be affected by this. So, make sure it's safe to drive here, turn on my blinker, okay. So we're gonna hit the road here. Now I'm turning onto York Boulevard. Now York Boulevard is like one of those cool streets in California or in Los Angeles. We'll go back towards Eagle Rock and I'll just show you how many cool little small businesses and stuff are on a street like this. It's a major commercial street. So we're gonna take a left here. This is Avenue 63. Again, the 110 freeway is just you know, maybe a mile down the road or something like that, maybe less, just to give you kind of an idea of where we are if it wasn't clear from the maps already. But again, this is a major commercial street here, York Boulevard, but we're gonna turn into a neighborhood and just drive around a couple blocks. Again, I don't do this to single anybody out. I don't do this to you know, admonish anybody. I do this to raise awareness. All right, so as we approach this neighborhood here, we'll take a drive around and see what we come across. All right, go ahead. We're gonna turn down this street right here. So already there you go, there's a Craftsman on the corner. A couple more, in fact, right all next to each other. And that one in the middle, that one had all wood fence, right? So not only the siding, but the fence and maybe the gate. Here's another home right here. That's a wood fence. Now, as you can see, that has a patio, which is probably redwood balcony, but notice how that home now has a stucco siding. Here's another Craftsman style home. Wood fence, wood gate, wood siding. So these craftsmen homes are going to be really affected, and like those are really, you know, they're practically historic at this point. So we'll see how Los Angeles kind of deals with that. So I'm just gonna drive around here. Here's another craftsman right here. The neighbors right here. Wood siding, wood fence. Look at that. And that fence is probably in your zone 0. Now you have also these palm trees and your landscaping. So we're gonna take a turn onto this side street here. A lot of craftsmen in this neighborhood as well. There's a big one right here, I'll show you. There's actually two right across the street from each other here. Let me pull over. I'm gonna let this guy behind me pass. Oh, they're turning, that's good. Okay, so here's a craftsman. You've got wood siding all over. And across the street, another one, wood siding. Oh, looks like this is a craftsman style too, wood siding. And now look at here. You've got a wood fence and gate going to the home with in front of that patio. So, you know, just tons of examples, and we're only a few blocks. Let me turn this off. Sorry, we're only a few blocks into it here, and we've already seen a number of examples. And this it depends on the neighborhood, but this is usually the case. Of course, another craftsman here on the corner. This home, another craftsman, wood fence and gate there. He rolled down the window so there's less glare. This is another craftsman. That one's got a wood fence. So this was that one in the middle I was talking about before we turned and went around the block. That's got wood fence. So let's spin this next block and just see what's around here. People get upset because I'm driving slow. Craftsman with patio, craftsman. Looks like an ADU. Maybe it was a detached garage converted. So we're back at Figueroa Street now. You know what I'd like to do is actually just let's go down south Figueroa. We're gonna take Figueroa south and head towards Mount Washington, because I'm gonna do my next video in that community. But we'll just kind of see what else we find along this route here in Highland Park. So of course, York Boulevard here. We're back at the intersection of York and Figueroa. So let's just take a drive here. See what we find. We're gonna take a drive into this neighborhood and see what we can find over here. So now these homes are also on a hill, and as I've mentioned, let me pull over so these people can move. As I mentioned, if you look at the topography of these maps, a lot of them overlap with communities that are on elevations. And so let me just turn this around here. These are all wood garage doors. Okay, now, and of course these properties are up on a hill. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of a drive down this block. Oh, right here, this next house, look at this, wood fence. Wood fence. Okay, so now again, is that in zone 0? Not necessarily, but okay, here's a couple of houses with wood siding. So some examples of wood siding there. Yeah, you know, it just depends on the age of the home. Just show you guys, right? I mean, these are, and there's a wood gate at the top of the stairs there. Let me turn up here because I want to get off the main street so I don't piss off any other drivers. Everyone's in a hurry in LA, right? Except for me right now. Now here is a wood fence. With a wood gate. Another example there. And like, see, you see how close to the home they are, right? So you know, my guess is that's going to be zone 0. So there was, you know, I just drove past another home with a wood fence. Here comes another craftsman up here. I'll turn this around here. So here we go. Here's a craftsman with wood siding. There you go. I mean, I could keep driving around here, but you know, I don't want to have this video run too long. But folks, you get the idea, right? I wouldn't be surprised if the number of people that are going to be affected by Zone 0 laws, regulations in these very high fire hazard severity zones, numbers in the millions. So folks, if you need help getting in touch with a contractor, visit us at zonezerocalifornia.com. Of course, if you want to enter to win a free pedestrian gate, you won't have to pay for the gate, just have to pay for the labor of the install. We'll give you a good price on that. We'll have it installed by a approved vendor from the Fire Safe Council vendor list. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel and go to zonezerocalifornia.com and fill out the form to download your free Zone 0 PDF checklist. Okay, Highland Park, thanks. We're off to Mount Washington next.